The authors of the Declaration of Independence compared living under British rule to living as an enslaved people, but the document did not recognize the rights of enslaved African Americans. When the war began, slavery was legal in each of the 13 colonies. Yet, just as white soldiers signed up to fight for the Patriot cause, as many as 5,000 African Americans did so as well. How did their service impact the issue of slavery in the American colonies? In 1776, 1 in 6 colonists was an African American, and of those, 99% were slaves. Most lived in the southern colonies, but New York and New Jersey also had large slave populations. When the Revolution began, African Americans reacted with hope and excitement. Many were equally ecstatic about the words of the Declaration of Independence, which declared that all men are created equal. As the war escalated, African Americans faced many tough choices about which side to support. In Virginia, the royal governor offered freedom to any slave who deserted their master and signed up to fight for the British Army. While this policy was temporarily dropped by the British because it alienated many white loyalists in the South, it became a full military-wide policy in 1779. Sir Henry Clinton, the supreme British commander at the time of the implementation, argued that the policy was justified because the Continental Army was using African American soldiers as well. After initial hesitation due to Southern objections, free African Americans were accepted into the Continental Army. By 1779, a full 15% of Washington's army was African American. Rhode Island was the first state to field an all-African American unit in 1777. Massachusetts chose to mix black and white soldiers together. Every colony, with the exception of South Carolina, enlisted free African Americans to fight. However, not all black Americans who fought for the Patriot cause did so of their own choosing. When the states began drafting militiamen into full military service, many Southerners sent slaves in their place, offering them freedom if they served honorably. In the final stages of the war, the British shifted their focus to the southern colonies, where a substantial number of loyalists and slaves provided manpower and support to their armies. As the brutality of the war intensified, many British officers began viewing runaway slaves as contraband, that is, goods to be seized and confiscated. Sadly, thousands were sold into an even worse form of slavery in the West Indies, with greedy British officers making as much as $1,000 for each slave that they sold. In spite of the arguments and turmoil, the service of African Americans changed the minds of many white Americans. By the end of the war, Vermont, Massachusetts, and New Hampshire had abolished slavery. Pennsylvania, Rhode Island, and Connecticut also voted in plans to gradually do away with the institution. In Boston, Phyllis Wheatley, a talented African American author whose writing was often supportive of the Patriot cause, celebrated the end of the war and her freedom in a poem entitled Liberty and Peace. Auspicious heaven shall fill with favoring gales, where'er Columbia spreads her swelling sails. To every realm shall peace her charms display, and heavenly freedom spread her golden ray.